The night sky over Tel Aviv erupted in chaos as missiles streaked overhead, painting streaks of fire across the darkness. Residents who had grown accustomed to the distant echoes of conflict suddenly found themselves at the epicenter of a direct assault. The city, usually vibrant and alive even after dark, was plunged into fear and confusion as the threat became immediate and undeniable. Explosions thundered across the city, their shockwaves rattling windows and sending tremors through the hearts of millions. The skyline, once a symbol of modernity and resilience, was illuminated by bursts of fire and smoke, each detonation a stark reminder of the new reality facing Tel Aviv's residents. This was a direct, unprecedented assault by Iran, no longer a shadow war fought through proxies or covert operations, but open conflict on a scale not seen before. The world watched in disbelief as Iran launched missiles straight from its own territory, signaling a dramatic escalation in hostilities. For the first time, Iran targeted Israel from its own soil, shattering the illusion of a contained struggle and pushing the entire region to the brink of war. The attack marked a turning point, as boundaries that once kept the conflict in the shadows were obliterated in a single night. Air raid sirens wailed relentlessly, echoing through the streets as millions scrambled for shelter. Families huddled in bomb shelters, anxiously listening to the distant booms and the crackle of Israel's Iron Dome, intercepting incoming missiles. The city's defenses lit up the sky in a desperate effort to protect its people, but the sense of vulnerability was overwhelming. The attack was a bold political statement, meant to demonstrate Iran's resolve and force a global reckoning with the conflict. Iranian leaders addressed the world, justifying their actions as necessary retaliation, while crowds in Tehran reacted with a mix of defiance and celebration. It was retaliation for recent events that had pushed tensions to a breaking point. The cycle of strikes and counterstrikes had finally erupted into open warfare, with both sides unwilling to back down. To understand this dramatic escalation, we must look back at the series of strikes and provocations that set this violent chain in motion, tracing the path that led to this historic and dangerous turning point in the Middle East. The seeds of Iran's assault were sown weeks earlier, when Israel launched daring strikes deep inside Iranian territory. These were not routine skirmishes, but targeted attacks on Iran's military and nuclear infrastructure, crippling facilities like Natanz and eliminating key IRGC commanders and nuclear scientists. The strikes sent a clear message. Israel could reach any target, anywhere, and would act preemptively against existential threats. This aggressive move shattered the long-standing veil of deniability, forcing Iran into a corner and fueling domestic pressure for a forceful response. The shadow war was now out in the open. Israel's gamble achieved its immediate goals, but it also set the stage for a direct and dangerous confrontation. Iran's leadership, humiliated and under pressure, was left with little choice but to retaliate. The world braced for what would come next. Iran's response was swift and overwhelming. A massive barrage of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and explosive drones launched directly at Israel. The attack was designed to saturate Israel's air defenses, targeting military bases, airfields, and infrastructure, but also putting civilians at grave risk. Cities like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem were on high alert as the sky filled with streaks of incoming fire. The scale was staggering, one of the largest missile and drone attacks in modern history. While many projectiles were intercepted, some broke through, causing damage and casualties. The psychological impact was profound, shattering any sense of security. Iran's message was clear. It could strike anywhere in Israel, raising the stakes for both nations. The region was now in uncharted, perilous territory. The conflict's true cost was felt by ordinary people on both sides. In Israel, air raid sirens forced millions into shelters, schools closed, and daily life ground to a halt. The trauma of huddling in fear as explosions echoed overhead left deep scars, especially on children. In Iran, Israeli strikes near populated areas created anxiety and anger, disrupting routines and fueling patriotic fervor. Hospitals and emergency services in both countries were stretched to the limit. The psychological toll was immense. Fear, uncertainty, and a sense that nowhere was truly safe. The shadow war had come home, leaving civilians to bear the brunt. This is the human tragedy of escalation. Israel's very survival in the face of overwhelming attack depended on its advanced, multi-layered air defense system. This formidable shield is made up of several key components. The Iron Dome, designed to intercept short-range rockets, David's Sling, which targets medium-range threats, and the Arrow system, built to counter long-range ballistic missiles. Each layer plays a unique and vital role, creating a protective umbrella over Israeli cities and critical infrastructure. These systems don't operate in isolation. Instead, they work in concert, sharing data and coordinating responses to maximize interception rates and minimize damage. When hundreds of Iranian projectiles, ranging from drones to sophisticated missiles, approached Israeli airspace, these defenses sprang into action. The sky lit up with interceptors, and the vast majority of incoming threats were destroyed before they could cause harm, preventing what could have been catastrophic mass casualties. But Israel was not alone in this fight. Crucially, the United States played a direct and active role. American Navy destroyers stationed in the region, equipped with advanced missile defense systems, and U.S. fighter jets patrolling the skies, helped intercept missiles and drones before they even reached Israeli airspace, providing an extra layer of protection. This seamless cooperation between Israeli and American forces underscored the enduring strength and strategic importance of the U.S.-Israel alliance. Their joint efforts were a testament to years of military collaboration and shared security interests. The high interception rate was widely hailed as a strategic victory, showcasing the effectiveness of modern air defense. However, the attack also exposed vulnerabilities. Some missiles still managed to slip through, causing damage and injuries on the ground. The sheer volume and intensity of the assault pushed even the most advanced defenses to their limits, revealing the challenges of facing a coordinated, multi-pronged attack. In the aftermath, military analysts and defense experts are poring over data from the engagement, searching for lessons to improve future responses and to anticipate evolving threats. The ongoing arms race between offensive missile technology and defensive countermeasures is far from over. Both sides are constantly innovating, seeking an edge in this high-stakes contest. This dramatic event proved both the remarkable power and the inherent limits of even the most sophisticated air defense systems. No shield is perfect. The world took note. No system is truly impenetrable. The need for vigilance, innovation, and international cooperation has never been clearer. The world watched in alarm as Israel and Iran exchanged direct blows, fearing a wider regional war. Global leaders, from Washington to Beijing, issued urgent calls for restraint, warning that further escalation could destabilize the entire Middle East. The United Nations convened an emergency session, with Secretary General Guterres warning of catastrophic consequences if the conflict spread. International organizations pressed both sides to halt hostilities and return to diplomacy. The fear was clear. This was no longer a local dispute, but a potential trigger for chaos across the region. The world pleaded for calm, hoping to avert disaster. The United States faced a delicate balancing act, supporting Israel's defense while avoiding direct war with Iran. This challenge required careful navigation of both military and diplomatic channels, as any miscalculation could have far-reaching consequences for the entire region. U.S. officials quickly clarified they had no role in Israel's initial strikes, distancing themselves from the offensive to avoid becoming a target. Public statements emphasized that America was not seeking escalation, and that its primary goal was to prevent the conflict from spiraling out of control. Yet, as Iranian missiles flew, American forces actively helped intercept them, demonstrating unwavering support for Israel's security. U.S. missile defense systems and personnel worked alongside Israeli counterparts, intercepting threats in real time and showcasing the strength of their military partnership. This dual approach, defensive aid without offensive involvement, was a calculated strategy to deter Iran while restraining further escalation. By focusing on defense, the U.S. signaled its commitment to Israel's safety, but also its desire to avoid a broader regional war that could draw in more countries. Behind the scenes, U.S. diplomats urged both sides to stand down, warning Israel against further retaliation and cautioning Iran against more attacks. High-level phone calls and emergency meetings took place, as American officials worked tirelessly to de-escalate tensions and keep diplomatic channels open. The American stance was a high-stakes tightrope walk, with any misstep risking a wider war. Every decision was weighed carefully, as leaders understood that even a small error could ignite a much larger conflict with unpredictable consequences. The crisis highlighted the immense difficulty of managing alliances and rivalries in a volatile region. The U.S. had to reassure its allies, deter its adversaries, and maintain credibility on the world stage, all while trying to prevent a catastrophic war. For now, the U.S. is working to contain the fire, knowing the final decisions rest with Israel and Iran. The world watches closely, aware that the next moves by any side could shape the future of the Middle East for years to come. The Israel-Iran conflict sent shockwaves through the Middle East and global markets. Fears of disrupted oil flows from the region caused energy prices to spike, rattling economies worldwide. Air travel was thrown into chaos as airlines rerouted or canceled flights over conflict zones, stranding thousands. Neighboring countries like Jordan and Iraq were put on high alert, worried about being drawn into the fighting. The crisis deepened regional rivalries and exposed the fragility of diplomatic efforts. The threat of a wider war loomed, with governments and citizens across the Middle East bracing for further escalation. The conflict's ripple effects pushed an already volatile region into even more dangerous territory. The world watched, anxious for stability. Despite global pleas for calm, both Israel and Iran doubled down, vowing further retaliation if attacked again. Leaders on both sides issued defiant statements, signaling that the cycle of violence was far from over. The standoff is volatile. One miscalculation could trigger a full-scale war with catastrophic consequences. The willingness to use direct military force has set a dangerous new precedent in the region. Diplomatic efforts continue, but deep-seated animosity and domestic pressures make peace elusive. The Middle East remains on edge, its future uncertain. For now, the drums of war still echo, and the world holds its breath.